What's going on, you guys? My name's Ty Knotts and welcome to Top 5 Unknowns. 5 ordinary locations with disturbing secrets. Number 5. The Helsinki Natural History Museum, located in Finland, is one of the largest museums of its kind. It was originally built in 1913 as a Russian cadet school, designed by 2 Russian architects. Its design is recalled as being quite over the top, especially for its time period. After Finland declared their independence in 1918, the school was then taken over as a Finnish school instead. It was eventually left in 1923, and the University of Helsinki gained ownership of it for use as a museum. Its very first collections were based on donations given to them by a private society known as Fauna and Flora. Sometime around 1960, the building received a shipment of wood chips, and rather shockingly, they found that the wood chips contained mass amounts of Chilean recluse spiders. Apparently, a spider's egg sac made its way into the chips, and the spiders hatched along the way, producing hundreds of baby spiders. When the crate was opened, they made their way all across the museum, and there was little that workers could do to stop them. By around 1970, the building was completely overrun with these spiders. It was recorded in 2016 that not only are there still spiders present in the building, but their population only continues to grow, with there being more spiders now than there ever have been before. The main issue with this is that the recluse spider is extremely durable, and in some ways indestructible. A female is known to have survived nearly 800 days without food or water, and can last through extremely high temperatures, giving birth to an estimated 2,250 babies within its lifetime. They can grow up to 4 inches large, and some can even kill you if you're bitten. Rather strangely though, the entire time that the building was being infested, only 1 bite has ever been recorded. The spiders hate humans just as much as we hate them, and they keep their distance. According to BBC, the building is connected to other buildings in the area through underground tunnel systems. It's been speculated that the spiders will eventually grow in number to the point that they'll begin spreading to other buildings, if they haven't done so already. Number 4. Several areas of London are known for their abundance of natural parks and picnicking areas to spend the day with friends or family. The parks have been around for decades, if not centuries in some cases, but they have a history that you may not have expected. In 2014, a study was conducted that showed over 12 of London's most popular parks actually reside on top of what are called plague pits, or large areas of land where sufferers of the Black Death would have been buried back in the 1600s. London was hit harder than most places in regards to the Black Death. 1665 and 1666, an estimated 15% of the city's population had died. Infected patients would often report a fever and sharp pain, which would eventually turn into agonizing vomiting and hallucinations. Giant bubbles would swell up under the skin, full of awful-smelling liquid, and within just a few weeks most patients would die. The city had such a large number of bodies that they literally had nothing to do with them. Their only option was to place the bodies in mass graves, with most of these locations being forgotten within just a handful of years, as they weren't well documented. According to one survey, there are an expected 150,000 bodies buried underneath the city by 1598. That survey doesn't even take into account the almost endless number of people who died in the following century throughout the 1600s. According to researchers, the known parks that are affected are Green Park, Shepherd's Bush, Golden Square, Vincent Square, and many, many others. Just search online for pits that may be found in your area. They're almost guaranteed. Number 3. Lagoons Edge is a hotel located in Sri Lanka. It seems as though it's any other hotel, featuring large antique-style rooms, beach views, and Facebook reviews that prove it offers a trouble-free vacationing experience. Though everything isn't as it seems in regards to Lagoons Edge. As it would turn out, the building was assembled on top of an old battlefield, previously used during Sri Lanka's civil war. The area was recognized by the Sri Lankan government, and many have begun to refer to the area as the Sri Lanka killing field. In the final weeks of the war, it's estimated that over 40,000 people died in a single plot of land. Many of these people were average civilians who were being grabbed and literally used as human shields. Once the government began to intervene, many of the inhabitants of the area were sexually assaulted, tortured, and killed. Certain areas of the government have suggested that the areas should be listed as a tribute zone in memory to many of the innocent lives that were lost, but no steps have been taken to do this as of 2019. According to record, these killings took place as recent as 2009, and the hotel was constructed and opened for business by just 2012. Number 2. Feel free to mock my pronunciation of this next location in the comments, because I know with certainty that I won't pronounce it correctly even though my wife's German. The Biltz Hillstatten Hospital is located in Germany, and though it may seem like a standard hospital from the outside, this hotel is where both Hitler and Honecker were treated during the First World War, after Hitler had been affected by a mustard gas attack. The building is since abandoned but still remains standing to this day. The building is now full of rusty beds, graffiti, and decay, and has been left to rot since sometime around 2000. The hospital is made up of over 60 different buildings, and was originally commissioned in the 19th century to help with the growing population of tuberculosis patients. Sometime during the First World War, the hospital was reorganized to be used as a military hospital for injured soldiers and government workers. The building didn't only operate as a hospital though, as many patients recall it feeling as though it were simply a small enclosed town. The complex was home to a butcher's shop, a post office, restaurants, a bakery, and even its own power plant. During the Second World War, many buildings in the complex were bombed, destroyed, or taken over by the Soviets, with the Soviets continuing to use the hospital until near its closure in 2000. Up until 1995, the Soviets had been trying to get the hospital listed as private, but these plans were repeatedly shot down. The hospital was being used as a makeshift neurological treatment center for many of its final days. According to many visitors, the buildings are these days shockingly easy to enter, and nearly none of the buildings are secured or boarded up. But many have described it as a ghost town, with the grounds being used as a set during the 2008 film Valkyrie, starring Tom Cruise. The building remains vacant and easily accessible to this day. Number 1. Disney World is self-proclaimed as being the happiest place on Earth, though in some cases, these claims are far from the truth. In fact, over the years, many workers have spoken out against Disney World for its poor treatment of certain workers. In addition to this, the park has a long and sometimes dark past. In recent years, workers have continually reported that visitors have been caught dumping the ashes of their loved ones onto the rides, typically water rides, and there's very little that employees can do to stop it. Additionally, in 2016, a young boy named Lane Graves was visiting the park with his parents. They were wandering around Seven Seas Lagoon when the boy was snatched by an alligator and taken off into the nearby waters. It wasn't until a day later that his body was discovered by rescue personnel. In 2007, Disney World was fined $25,000 after an employee fell from a restricted area and landed on a platform for one of the rides. 4 days later, he passed away from brain trauma related to the incident. The company was forced to rework their safety protocols around the ride, but strangely, no further actions were taken. Even as recent as March of 2019, a worker at Disney passed away after suffering an injury behind the France Pavilion. He'd been allegedly working on an upcoming Ratatouille ride when he fell from the roof and passed away. No additional details were released by police, and it remains unclear whether or not fines or charges will be filed. But one of the most shocking non-terminal events that took place at Disney World was back in 1994. A 6-year-old girl was attempting to board the It's a Small World ride with her family, when she somehow became pinned between the boarding dock and one of the boats. The details remain somewhat unclear, but she sustained collapsed lungs, a broken rib, and a broken arm. The girl made a full recovery, but the ride was shut down for the remainder of the day for safety inspections. These are just a small portion of the violent and deadly acts that have taken place at Disney World. According to researchers, over 44 people have died at the park since its opening, and these are only the cases that have been made public. For a park to be considered the happiest place on Earth, it certainly does seem to be clouded by a dark and deadly history. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos.